Our final and deciding game.
I am so ready for this, and Azir and Orianna throughout the entire series have not been allowed. That will not change in Game 5. The Trundle remains banned as well. AL, having lost Game 4, are choosing to play from the blue side here in our 5th and final game. Caitlyn and Misfortune, double marksman bans in the first half of the draft from AL. When you're already on Game 5 in Fearless, that AD carry pool is shrinking to a puddle.
Also, potentially setting up for something like a Lucian first pick, which is the other AD carry that we've seen in this meta that is still rising up in priority. Something that you can have that flexibility with, especially as the desk was already talking about, like both the Alistair and the Rel still up and available if they want to try and go for it. Annie, also a mid laner that you have to keep your eyes on, has drifted out of the meta, but certainly still a very strong pick. But it's the Jinx immediately, Kobe.
You called it.
You gotta feel that it is coming because AL, they know, they remember last time T1, they got the Jinx and they beat them in the 5th game at MSI. And you know how much success AL have had in their 5-game Jinxes. They get it, first pick, it's worthy. Now you have to protect it though, okay? Jinx in itself is not a team comp. You have to be able to keep that Jinx up. You have to be able to get the first kill to get excited and stay alive.
Meanwhile, the response from T1, a tried and true evergreen top laner that has made it all the way through Fearless up until now. It'll be Doran piloting the Renekton in the deciding game.
But it was the Renekton and the Lee Sin that in that game 3, I believe, at MSI was able to get T1 that very early lead where they played through that Renekton on the top side, got the kills, and then were able to start that snowball for themselves. So wonder if Oner wants to fall back towards that style. This will be crazy though.
Skewmond, is that you? Oner on the Mundo. The front line here looking pretty beefy so far. T1. All right, let's see the response from AL though immediately. You're thinking like percentage health damage. What are they going to use to melt through it? Is it just going to be buff up the Jinx?
Gotta see here. He's picking through a couple of different options. It will be another tank. So tank versus tank in the jungle here.
Sejuani into Mundo is not a great one-on-one matchup, but they're, I don't know.
I really like this early pickup of the Lulu though, because essentially what you've realized is, hang on, there's very little dive threat on the side of T1. Sure, you can have like the Alistair or the Rel come through for Keria, but unless they lock that in now, you're still going to be playing this front to back. You still got an enabler for the Jinx, and there's very few responses that can actually come through for T1.
The Sejuani also very, very effective at just being that big brick wall to keep Jinx safe. And I have been informed by our producers, hold on 1 second. Is that really? Okay! Faker Mel, potentially, could also be a support Mel. Here, the first one in the tournament so far. This is also Oner's first Mundo in his career.
And this Mel can reflect so many different objects here. You've got the Sejuani yield, you've got the Super Mega Death Rocket that he can send back as well. These things that, in particular for the Jinx, where she wants to try and get a reset, can be devastating if she doesn't actually set that up. So if this Mel can manage to step into the front line, cause a bit of disruption, that could be huge. But now, Jack's going to be banned away. Renekton counters like the Gnar are going to be taken away as well, I feel like, by T1. And for anyone's legend, focus on the AD carries, or at least on the supports, has to be the call.
Oh man, we are getting into Game 5 and we are getting the dark magic coming out here. Yeah. See what the response is here. How do you further protect towards this Jinx? Take away the Pike. Okay, playmaking support there. No T1 Pike in this entire series.
Yep, they're going to get rid of the Pike. He can also do the X marks the spot for the execution through things like the Lulu Shield or a Locket of the Iron Solari, so they'll take away that execution potential. Over on the other side, you're going to see Jax and Akali banned out, looking at the solo lanes, looking at these big potential threats, these massive damage sources that could come in from those two roles. As AL have one ban left. Do they want to further pinch the marksman role? No. Instead, they're going to go with that Alistar that we already mentioned earlier has been banned a lot throughout this series.
So you got to think about other things to pick into this Mel as well. At least by solo queue standards, Syndra is fairly successful. Xerath, Cassiopeia, and of those, I would kind of lean towards Cassiopeia. or the Syndra as possibilities. They provide a lot of structure to 5-on-5 team fights.
I don't like this Ash over from Gumayusi. You're fairly low damage in that regard because Mel doesn't have the highest DPS in the game either. I would have preferred the Aphelios, maybe end up opting in towards something like the Thresh and trying to play your game through that. But there you go, Kobe. The Syndra hovered. And honestly, if AL sticking out Tanky Boy for Flandre in the top lane, I think they're in a relatively okay spot with the way this draft has gone.
Oh man, the tension, you can feel it here in the arena. They do lock the Syndra, one of those champs here, into Mel. Looks pretty good. Honestly, I think AL are setting themselves up with good chances in this game. Gumayusi, though, on the Ashe, we assume, could be flexed to Keria. He does have a history with it. Ooh, Ashe plus Seraphine, the goated combo. Ashe slows into Seraphine, immediately upgrading into the root, into the stun.
And what a terrifying bot lane that is to try and play against. Hyper pushing bot lanes that made them win 2023 Worlds, that set them aside from the rest of the LPL. And they started that play in quarterfinals and the LPL could not find an answer. Now it's on anyone's legend 2 years later to see if they can take down a T1 that no one else could.
I want everyone to soak in this moment. This is what esports is all about. We're in China with LPL looking to try and for the first time ever eliminate T1 from Worlds. The fifth and final game here between AL and T1. Everything on the table.
And once more, just a reminder to everyone here, so far, Faker has faced the LPL in a best of 5 11 times, counting the play-in match against IG earlier this tournament. They have not lost a single time. They 3-0'd their opponents 5 times, 3-1 4 times, 3-2 only twice, and even if T1 wins this one, that will still be the 3rd time that an LPL team has taken them the distance in the best of 5 stage. Anyone's legend has as good a chance as anyone's ever had at stopping T1 here.
All right. Looks like we're going to get opposite side jungle clears. Mundo going to be clearing towards the Ashe Seraphine lane. This lane is so strong because Ashe, with the guaranteed slow, can upgrade the Seraphine. And the poke damage is also very substantial.
Definitely going to make it tough, especially because you have to go for a cleanse in this lane with the slow and that setup then. So it means you don't have access to the barrier. So when you hit that level 6, the combo, even though you can get rid of the ult from the Ashe, you still have to deal with Keria. There's so much follow-up. And even trying to play team fights as Hope, if that cleanse is ever burned, becomes so difficult to do.
And interestingly enough, no summoner spellbooks on either side this game since we're running double enchanters. Means it's just the heals for the supports the entire game long. Faker stepping forward, trying to maybe steal away these chickens from Tarzan, but no, not gonna get them.
Yeah, able to get some of the small ones, I think, though.
Yeah, it denies the level 3, which is crucial for Tarzan.
Yeah, gets them execute. I mean, Mel, the passive, is the bane of so many junglers.
The overwhelm, yeah.
And Faker goes in. Faker's able to apply that little bit of extra pressure. It's those small things that do end up adding up. And Mundo into Sejuani is a good one-on-one matchup because you can just shrug off a lot of the immediate Sejuani CC and look to scale.
Yeah, missed the big chicken, but the little ones are enough to slow down that Sejuani clear and just try to set up a good situation for Oner here on his Mundo. Down in the bottom lane, we can see Gumayusi and Keria having control over the lane like we would expect them to. Jinx is going to need time to scale up. Oner with his double buffs going to now walk towards mid lane to just walk through here and try to contest the top side scuttle first.
But that's why I like the pathing from Tarzan. He did his front 2 camps, went back to Wolves, and now is completely wrapped around. So when Oner goes to the top side, Tarzan is actually going to be able to show in on this bottom side, avoiding all that vision as well. You can see Oner now realizing, trying to run back through mid to deny Tarzan the smite, but it's bot lane that might be in trouble.
Yeah, Gumayusi and Keria having to back away. The zap does not connect on Gumayusi. Tarzan down here in the bottom lane. Guma wants first blood on the Kyle. It's going to be secured by Keria. A 1-for-1, but Hope gets the money critically for AL.
Tarzan with the wraparound, the first move here on the Sejuani. He doesn't even get an assist, but him approaching applies the pressure and forces the all-in. That is going to be a lot of summoner spells blown for the bot side of the map. It's going to be a bloodbath as they swap themselves up to the opposite side and top laners teleport down.
So T1 actually doing that really does hurt Hope. He wanted to pick up that big wave and bot, now can't because he has to reset. But you see here Kael, an offensive Lulu, trying to crack down on Gumayusi on the Ashe. Hope flashing forward to set up the play in for Kael. Gumayusi in these early stages has so much damage on the Ashe, is able to take him down. But look at that big wave there at the end. Like Hope resets because the TP from Doran. And look at the CS at the bottom of your screen. That's how much he's now behind because of it. So even though you get the kill, it's still Gumayusi with the gold lead.
Exactly. The farm matters so much down there in the bottom lane. As we see Hope and Kael, Gumayusi and Keria, both bottom lane duos, swapped up to the top lane now as Flandra and Doran will head down to the bottom side. You can see a lot of wards here in this topside river, along with the Scuttle Crab vision in both parts of the river for the T1 side of things. And again, there's that powerful burst. If Keria ever catches you, the follow-up damage is guaranteed to be huge.
And T1 have a long history with very potent duo lanes. Back in the double AD carry meta, they were the ones most feared. And now, although it's not 2 AD carries as a duo, it is very, very annoying poke damage. Tarzan here as well is going to find his way back to that lane that is just constantly going to be under attack.
Great heads up from Gumayusi though, ends up spotting him with the hawk shot, and it means that then Tarzan has to run away. Now on the bottom side, because they spotted the Sejuani top end, Oner able to sneak away this Drake. Well, sneak away, he's on vision, but able to steal it away. And it'll be a nice little early game for T1.
Yeah, and I think that's the comms there. Hey, I'm gonna just take this neutral objective, maybe play some defense on my top side jungle, and they see him as he's going in. So first dragon for T1, gold lead for T1 out of lane phase here. They do look comfortable, but AL, they learned from MSI. They're the ones with the Jinx, and they even added a Lulu on top of it. If they can get some money into Hope, then they can look to take over the team fights that way.
And that's what T1 did at MSI, was gank for Gumayusi, get him ahead on the Jinx, and make sure that he was able to be a major threat. And that's what Tarzan's trying to do, but Keria spots him out.
Yeah, Keria sees him right there, walking into the tri-brush with the sweeper. Yes, Tarzan can tag him with the W, but it doesn't matter.
But the thing is that it's very difficult to continue to play for Hope in this scenario. Getting spotted out consistently by the hawk shot by Keria. Also then, you would like to go for some sort of swap here with a minute until the Void Grubs, so then you can trade Void Grubs for some pressure on the bottom side, for plates on towards Jinx. But with the pushing lanes, it's so hard to get that moment to reset. You see they've even had to cancel the reset in the top side again, and it's constantly putting AL under pressure.
T1 just maintaining this massive farm advantage here in the 2v2 top side as Gumayusi 20 CS ahead of Hope.
So nice for Amundo, just power farming away when you got your pushing lanes to work with. Push, push, push. It works on towers. It works with your lanes as well if they're going to do it for you. The farm here looking good for him, and the timers on those dragons are going to be very quick. It's actually good that the second one is a Chem Tech dragon here. We'll see though. Shank's going for his reset now as well after T1 have rotated Guma over to mid.
This is the swap I was talking about though for Hope and Kael. I think you need to get them out of this matchup and hope then you can push in bot side into getting some turret plates for them. But look at the vision that's already been set up by T1 on this bottom side, right? They know if Tarzan ever tries to make a play on the bottom side, and Gumayusi and Keria clear out mid, get a farm advantage, now rotate bot, can match that push, and are constantly matching anyone's legend in those plays.
Yeah, and they're going to have a big advantage for the Void Grubs. Guma at the moment on Ashe is walking away. He can throw a long-range Ashe ultimate up there, but he's actually throwing it to stop the bottom lane recall. Very, very, very high value here. Two of them interrupted. They have vision. T1 no. These objectives are ours.
Yeah, the kills are only 1-1, but T1 is solidly controlling the side lanes. They are controlling the objectives. They are controlling the tempo of the first 9 minutes of this game. That is both early neutral objectives claimed by T1. No contest from AL for that first Drake. Any attempted contest stopped, like you're saying, by the arrow from Gumayusi.
And it's not like it gets easier. T1 spikes so well off of a single item that at least when you look towards like both Mel and Gumayusi, and even Keria as well, the next couple of objectives kind of feel like they're T1 favored, and at that stage it's T1 pretty much out of control before AL can really get online. Like, Hope is so far away from completing his items, completing the cull. You're heavily reliant on can Shanks and Flandre do enough, but Flandre slowly starting to fall behind to Doran as well, not having the best of times.
AL's early game off to a bit of a struggle here in the 5th and final game of this series. You'd have to think that MSI is in the back of their minds, getting to this same point against T1, nearly qualifying for that MSI final, but missing out. Oner looking maybe to try to set up for a dive down here, but Tarzan reads the play. He's ready to defend here in a 3v3, but it's still going to be another turret plate going the way of Gumayusi and Keria. The Ashe Seraphine so strong.
And Oner kind of losing some health. He misses every briefcase. He lost his passive already as well.
Okay, Tarzan still moving forward, and Oner and the rest of T1 push back a little.
But the triple boy grubs are doing so much value. Guma with the ultimate, trying to see if they could go for Kael, don't get anything. But even if they don't, I mean, the Ashe and, well, Kalista, I mean, Caitlyn, I mean, Seraphine, like, this looks like we've seen it so many times before from T1. And as long as they can continue to chip away at this turret, they're getting the goal they want. Hope is being denied some of that CS, and you're even sharing some of that experience with Tarzan.
Tarzan's not done.
Yeah, Tarzan wants to make the play here yet again. Gumayusi and Keria trying to get away. Once more, the zap doesn't connect. Gumayusi sidestepping that the same way he did in the last time Tarzan came to the bottom lane. Gumayusi and Keria, again, reinforced by Oner here. They can't just throw out the Glacial Prison on Gumayusi because he has the cleanse.
Exactly. He can just hover on that side. He's not scared of the Sejuani at all. They complete the push, and they do get the early rotation over to the Dragon that we were talking about, and the stacking should continue.
Topside, Doran continues putting that pressure onto Flandre, who immediately pops the World Ender. Q1, Q2, both not going to find a lot, and Doran has more than half a bar of Fury, so he has an enchanted spell if he wants to try to make a move.
Doran's going to have ult advantage. That is actually pretty big for the one-on-one. Oner.
Yeah. Tarzan wants to try to steal away this Drake. Keria and Oner, though, they don't care about that at all. They will smite it down, and that is 3 neutral objectives to 0 for T1.
And what you start to think about in moments like this on the big stage is how people will deal with pressure when all of the eyes are on you and you have to perform, and it just comes down to a single game. And sometimes even in that game, a single moment. AL right now are losing so much on the map. T1 constantly just pushing in, gaining little advantages, objective after objective going their way.
And in these sorts of situations, you'd like to fall back to your basics of guys like Tarzan and Kael, who AL played through for so much of this split. Oh, Tarzan though.
Tarzan with the Arctic Assault trying to get back into it now. Shanks could be the one under pressure, wants to fire back into the T1 lines. Oner flashing away, staying alive, but there's the Glacial Prison. Only connects under the tank, but Flandre's arrived into the fight. They fight too! Anyone's Legend got exactly what they were looking for. Faker at least gets one back, but he falls as well. Anyone's Legend got exactly what they needed.
Anyone's Legends found the TP spot where T1 had overextended and managed to finally get something back in their favor. Even Hope picking up a kill on the back end.
And who is it in the big moments we're talking about? Flandre, he finds the teleport, and he is able to make this flank. Look at him go straight for Keria. He's able to lock him down, even with the Seraphine ultimate only hitting one. It just hits Tarzan. Flandre's able to get him. They get the first 3 kills. They get even more than that. And AL, they are back.
There is a reason that this man is one of 3 non-Korean top laners to ever win Worlds. There's a reason why the LPL has relied on him before, and just now, Anyone's Legend once more find themselves being carried in the back of Flandre.
It's not just Europe that has nightmares of Aatrox at Worlds this time. The LPL Aatrox is such a raid boss in so many huge moments in the history of League of Legends esports. It looked like back in that fight, it was Faker's rebuttal on the Mel that guaranteed that he got the kill back onto Shanks to not just make it a total wash, but Hope getting 2 kills there. This is so big for the Jinx to not fall behind and make sure that he stays on tempo to be relevant in this game. 4 stacks left on the call before he cashes in, and Hope's going to have a gold lead over Gumayusi.
And that is incredible with the way that this game started. Anyone's Legend getting the perfect gold in the places they needed. Vondre started to fall behind. He's now up. Hope has started to find. He's now going to be up as soon as this coal pops. And now, when it comes towards the Rift Herald, when it comes towards Dragons, Anyone's Legend have a fighting chance to contest T1.
Vondre, he did so much work on the Mordekaiser in the previous game.
Yeah.
But in the end, it wasn't enough. This time around, setting up for the team as well and trying to put as many resources into the Jinx as they possibly can. Jinx as well with a nice little interrupt here onto Doran, which is going to give Vondre a little bit of extra tempo. They continue to interrupt again, I believe. That was the redemption used to interrupt the second recall from Doran.
It's a 1-to-1 game for the snipes from the AD carries to interrupt these recalls. Now Doran popping the Dominus to make sure that he can clear the wave and stay healthy enough to avoid the dive that he knows is coming. If they're using Super Mega Death Rocket and the redemption, you know they've got to have some kind of a follow-up. So that'll force the ulti of the Renekton, and it forces it right as the Rift Herald spawns.
And that's what I was going to say. Hope's ultimate will be back up sooner than the Dominus. Same when you look at that redemption. But the timing for AL, it feels like, is not about the Rift Herald. It's about going for this bot lane turret instead.
Exactly. This is the first turret of the game. That's going to win them the feats as well. There's already the monster slaying for the side of T1. There's already warfare for the side of AL. They're saying, fine, take the Herald. That'll get you a turret later. We've already got a turret now alongside feats of warfare.
And how far do you want to push? Is T1, you see Faker trying to clear out that top wave, but you have to be so careful. And Excited Jinx starting to rip through that play on the bottom side. T1 don't overcommit for the top lane, instead respecting it, and they will just back away.
AL coming to life here, putting pressure back onto T1, and now there is a dangerous extended lane here that T1 are going to have to deal with. Doran trying his best to get some defensive vision for himself. This is also a map with the Hex Gates, so you have to worry about some of those very quick plays, getting right back out and trying to take advantage of those small timing windows. At the moment, the side lane, the long lane, is actually the Syndra. Shanks is all the way down there for AL, so he's got to be very cautious about pushing that one out. He bides his time in the brush before deleting the minion wave and then can rotate over to the rest of the team.
And even though they did throw the lead that they had when AL was able to punish with Flandra's TP to join the fight in the last big engage that we saw in that topside river. T1 still has the first 2 Drakes to their name. If they can secure this third one that has just now spawned, they'll be on Soul Point on a Hex Tech Rift. A very scary situation for AL to then have to deal with. AL knows it, and they've brought everybody to the party nice and early to control the bottom side river. Now Doran is still up on the top side of the map, taking down that tier 1 turret, but he's going to go ahead and decide to teleport now to join up with the rest of the team. The Rift Herald is summoned up mid. Flandra separated from the rest of AL, and there's chunks under the AL health bars. T1 staying mostly grouped up. Keep your eyes on Keria over the wall. The arrow collides, but it's only onto Shanks, and he's at a safe distance, so no real value there. Redemption coming in. Seraphine ulti, no value. Oner's going to be in some danger as immediately Tarzan jumps in the middle of everyone and has to try to flash away. Flandra on the flank. Drake owned now by T1. They will force AL back, and they will earn themselves Soul Point.
I feel like you can tell they are on a knife's edge right now. Everybody very antsy with some of these abilities being thrown out. In the end, though, T1, they win out. They get the dragon. They're going to get the tower as well. This is going to chop down on the gold lead.
Yeah, and they're basically getting top tower as well because that so much damage went through before Doran TP'd. That'll go down with a stiff breeze. So at this stage, Anyone's Legend, they really needed to try and find something there. But again, like, your Jinx hasn't come online. You're sitting on 1 item on Shanks. You did get 1 hero play, but in the straight front to back, this is where T1 are just so strong with the composition that they have.
Yeah, you can tell. So Tarzan had to play the mind game with Mel, and he goes in with the Q, and then Faker's going to go for the reflection, so then he holds the ultimate, but then they've already taken enough damage, so then as he's going out, he throws his ultimate back, and there's no engage there. But we also saw, T1 themselves just throwing out Ashe ultimates, not having anyone in place to follow up there, and then Keria trying to snipe over the wall, but that one also not finding the engage. And then if all of that is down, then T1 are just going to win out with the pure brute force on the dragon and set themselves up with a dragon soul point.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Keria failed to flash over the wall or was trying to flash to reposition to catch Hope as he stepped backwards, but either way, he wasn't quite able to connect, and still, T1 get the objective. They're going to continue to push out waves, and Now we just wait 3 minutes until 3:30 until that dragon is up, that potential dragon soul for T1. And as long as they don't end up overforcing that Atacon and anyone's legend find a fight, it feels like T1 should be able to brute force their way in once more.
Total gold, 7,000 for both of the AD carries in this game. Hope with 2 fully completed items, Kraken Slayer plus the Phantom Dancer. The Jinx having a pop-off moment in the team fight is exactly what AL needs if they want to find a huge win. He still only has the brown boots, but remember that they do have the feats of strength claim, so once he upgrades the Berserker's Greaves, he can upgrade even further. Hope is going to have to step up for AL.
And it's going to be hard for him to get the first kill because of the durability of this front line empowered by a Seraphine. As long as Keria's positioning is good, Oner can walk on the front line, and they start out with a little bit of poke here.
Yeah, they wanted to at least get the cleanse out of Hope there with the arrow, but fortunately for AL, Tarzan recognizes what might be happening. He steps in front of Hope, throws out the Glacial Prison, not going to find anybody. Keria was going to be the potential target. Chompers are used. Oner with the flash over the wall, trying to stay alive. Scatter the Weak from Shanks, does find the Mundo, but he's healing up an awful lot. Hope at about 1/3 HP, steps back away from the Seraphine. Gumayusi looking for the opportunity to find some more slows, but it's only a volley. Redemption for AL, heals up Kyle and Hope. Pings coming out from T1 towards that top side, looking at the Otacon.
Hope takes so much poke off the back of it, and now T1, they immediately want to go for the Otacon with the TP from Faker.
Exactly, and they know that Flandra doesn't have a TP, so Flandra has to walk all the way from the bottom side. He's going to do it though, pincer on Doran.
But I'm sure T1 have it in their minds what happened at the Otacon in the previous game. They do not want to overstay. They do not want to force on this objective that can shred that tanky front line that you're talking about and let Hope start to get some resets. Now AL moving in. They're going to start up the Otacon. TP ready to arrive from the T1 side. Otacon loses his patience. AL have to be a bit careful. Flandra here on the side. He's going to find Doran, who finds him, as now the Solar Snare finds Tarzan, and T1 are moving forward. They charm up the enemy jungler. Tarzan's already down, but Doran dies. Hope is excited, but where's the rest of the fight? Keria tries to get away. Gumayusi right beside him. Flandra here on the front line as Oner's going to be chopped up. The Mundo dies. Hope's on a killing spree. Flandra going forward, but Faker takes him out. Hope, Shanks, and Kyle trying to get away. Guma, Keria, and Faker stepping forward. The Otacon, it's impatient, but it's so close to dead. It is stolen away by Faker himself.
Mel wins those every time.
I can't believe what this series is turning into. Anyone's Legend looked like they found the fight where they pull the Atacon away. They turn onto Doran as Flandre gets access to the backline here. But with the charm onto Tarzan, you can see the ultimate from Shanks gets them set up. But Gumayusi and Keria are able to move into towards this top side. And at that stage, Anyone's Legend try to group onto Oner, saying kill the jungler. We have a chance at the smite. But Faker gets the kill onto Flandre, and then the follow-up onto the Atacon as well.
Oh, now they're on the hunt once again. Wow, these big moments. I mean, everyone else at Worlds is looking, wait a second, Faker draws the dragon out. Are we actually going to get the engage here? Tarzan and Kyle wrapping around the outside.
This is massive. If T1 gets it, it's a Hex Soul 23 minutes into the game. AL knows they cannot afford to give that away. Hope looking for a little bit of poke, only finds Oner. AL with Shanks off to the side, looking to try to get some important burst there with the Syndra. One quick stun on the Doran isn't a whole lot. Faker 3-1-0 on the Mel. Rebuttal timing is also going to be huge in any of these fights. Flandra off to the side is going to be seen there by the ward. Jumps over the wall there with the Umbral Dash. T1 taking a little bit of poke here. Scatter the Weak, no target found. Shanks still looking for a little bit more opportunity there. Oner losing about 1,000 HP here so far, but he is the Mundo, has plenty to work with. More zaps fired through. T1, they have the dragon down to 2/3 HP. AL continuing to step forward. Gumayusi trying to stay very far back. Goes for the arrow. He finds it on Shanks. AL's mid laner is under pressure, but he gets away for now. Doran creating space. Dragon at 40%. Tarzan still nearby, but so is Oner. Dragon losing patience. Flandra's World Ender is about to expire. Doran still here on the front line. Hit with the Q1 of Flandra. Oner at about half HP. Shanks looking for a little bit more. Dragon at 2K. Glacial Prison fired out. But it's claimed! The soul soul for T1, but Oner has already died. AL have got to find more unless they want to lose the game here. Doran takes a ton of burst. Scout of the week, the damage from the unleashed power. Shanks has another kill, and Tarzan is chasing after Faker. He gets the smite for the slow. They're gonna find another kill, but it's Hex Tech Soul for T1. 3 kills to AL, a 2,000 gold lead, but Baron's not on the map.
It's not quite up yet, but anyone's legend getting more gold into their pockets. T1 getting the Hextech Soul. It all comes down to this next couple of fights at the Baron, but we get to see this again.
This standoff was so intense, and it comes down to the smite fight, and it is Oner who finds the smite to get the soul. Then, as you said, AL, they just have to chase down as many kills as they possibly can because they need money now. This is going to be such a powerful soul for the entire duration of the game now. Hex Tech slows are so annoying for AL. The Ash poke, the Mel poke. T1 can utilize this so effectively.
And you can see there, Hope couldn't quite get the damage onto the targets that were falling, never got excited, never able to follow up and really use that pocket Lulu to turn that fight completely in their favor. And now Baron on the cards and an early third item for Hope. It feels like T1 have the advantage, but this could still break in AL's favor.
This is so big. 3K gold lead for AL, but all of the power of the Otacon and the soul for the side of T1. Hope really wants to get that third item fully completed to break through that front line and get excited as fast as possible.
Clutch moments, Flowers. Faker secured the Otacon. Oner secures the Dragon Soul.
Gumayusi.
But AL...
Oh, Gumayusi hit by the Scout of the Week, but there is enough distance and the shielding from Keria to make sure that there's no follow-up from AL after.
Still, I like this from AL. See if they can find those picks. See if they can play off a vision. That's some damage onto Oner.
Yeah, they're going to commit onto the Dr. Mundo.
He's dead.
Shanks has killed him. Oner is dead. You want to talk about clutch moments? There you go. Tarzan and Flandra going forward. Faker's going to be caught. So much damage from AL. Faker about to die. Shanks on a rampage. Anyone's legend. 2 huge kills.
The soul is not enough when the heart of the LPL is with anyone's legend. They will move over towards the Baron as Shanghai erupts.
Doran, Keria, and Gumayusi, 3v5 if nothing else. They need to stop the Baron from going over to AL right now. Shanks on the side, no ulti available for the Syndra here just yet. Tarzan over the wall wants to go in after Keria. Infernal Chains are going to connect. This Seraphine is down. Tarzan is traded, but Doran has died too. It's Gumayusi against anyone's legend as he tries to kite and fight, but he's stunned. Good night, but kill for Shanks. AL delayed ace.
Oh my God! AL are still in this! They increased the gold lead, it's almost 5,000! T1, they stopped the Baron though, critically! AL just delete Dr. Mundo!
And they managed to end up turning this, but there was so many clutch plays. Shanks with the stun onto Doran, Tarzan with the lockup onto Keria, Hope able to kite back, and Flandre setting up for another stun to barely clip onto Gumayusi and set up for the play. Even at the start of the fight before this, it was Hope who had Tarzan jump in front of Gumayusi's arrow that denied the follow-up from T1, that kept the Jinx alive, that kept the LPL alive in this game.
Oh, it is the Dragon Soul, it is the Otacon versus the gold lead in this one. And Game 5 Jinx, Flowers. Can Hope carry this one? He has double summoner spells available for the next fight.
And he's got the Executioner's calling now for when he hits that Mundo. This is a 5,000 gold lead versus a Dragon Soul and Otacon. And gentlemen, we are now less than 2 minutes away from an Elder Dragon entering the Rift as well.
And you're still a ways away from the main late game of T1 coming online in Oner. He's only level 13, won't be able to hit that level 16 before he gets to this next dragon. Whereas when you look at Hope, should be able to reset and pick up his final, his third item in this game, have that opportunity to cut through some of these beefy front lines. And oh my God, Flandre's performance in this game has been insane.
What a hero.
Shanks as well has hit the execution threshold on Syndra. He's over 100 splinters. He has 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. That will be pain.
That execution is so big too against something like Mundo that wants to get low and then regen all of the health. A little bit of miscalculations could be doom for T1. It was Oner getting picked. You don't see Dr. Mundo and you think, man, this guy should be scared of getting picked. But that's what happened in the last fight. That's how AL found their moment. And now, less than 60 seconds on the Dragon spawn. The Elder Drake, the great equalizer, the objective to end the game. We're not even 30 minutes in, and this thing is about to spawn. Pings coming out from both sides. As you can see, AL take to the bot side, River first.
All eyes on Hope. Kael is sticking with him. The pocket Lulu to keep him safe. Cleanse at the ready. Flash at the ready.
You think of the teams that have stood in this position before. Billy, Top Esports, LNG, so many teams that have fallen at the hands of T1, and it's this band of misfits that are taking T1 the distance that may just find their chances this Elder Dragon.
Okay, Tarzan eating a little bit of damage there, will lose the Arctic armor. Hope does not want to suffer any poke here as T1 will strut into the bot side River. Shanks taking the Hex Gate, making sure he doesn't get caught out. Does not want to try to stay there and look for a pincer that could get him caught. AL backing away from the pit now with Keria starting up the Elder. Just a little bit of damage over the wall to make sure that AL are not going to begin that one themselves. Elder aggroed by T1 here, as now it's going to reset. AL, they send Flandra into the mid lane to answer the wave, clear that one out. The rest of AL remaining by the Drake.
You have to be so careful as AL. One of these spells lands and that Hex Tech so slows you, it can give T1 the opportunity to chase you down. As Flandre on the reset picked up his GA.
Okay, T1, they're moving into the river. They're taking total control now. Hope wants to grab the red buff, and Flandre needs to get back out and join up with the rest of AL here for the fight. Red buff secured. Elder Drake started, but so slowly. Flandre gonna move forward, try to clear away the control ward. They're going in after the Aatrox. They set him up with the arrow. Flandre has been caught at a critical moment. Over the wall goes Tarzan. Wild growth coming in from Kael. Guardian Angel will bring Flandre back, but where is the damage on AL's side? Doran into the back line. Kael is already down. Doran killed in response. T1 pushing forward. Shanks the next kill. Hope trying to kite. He needs to get away because T1 have won the fight 2-1.
Flandre is trying to reset and teleport back in. He's trying to link up with the team. The minions are here. They need to turn it. That's the teleport.
Okay, T1, they've got to understand this Aatrox is probably their target. Flandre arrives. Solar Snare looking to lock him up. Oner taking a ton of damage. Hope is excited. Flandre's got the kill. Solar Snare on Hope, but it's not going to do any more. Flandre's going to try to get away. Goes back in here for the Q1. Tarzan wants to engage on the Gumayusi, but he cannot find him. Flandre over the wall. Wants Faker. Can't get the damage. Hope can't do it either. Gumayusi's still alive. T1 out team fighting to Legend for another delayed ace.
T1 kite into the alcove of death. They take down AL, and they're going to reset. The Elder is still on the table, and the Hex Gates are at the ready.
The Syndra is up. It's Kael that is up. But can they stand against so many members of T1? Doran going to start to push out this wave, and in just a moment, all 5 members of T1 will amass around the Elder.
There's no way to contest for AL right now. Everybody on T1 ready to go. Oner going to join up in just a moment. Kael and Shanks, even with the level 16 Syndra, there's just not an angle. And now, with the Elder in their possession, you would have to think that T1 is going to take a stroll up into the top side of the rift and add Baron to it.
This now becomes a game of delaying, of trying to deny T1 from taking down the Nexus. Having both of these buffs means that they can tear through anyone's legend.
With the power of the Elder, they've got to secure this one. AL, what are they even going to do? You have to try and turtle and wait out these super powerful endgame buffs now.
The Elder, the Baron, the Soul, the Otacon, every possible advantage you could have in League of Legends, T1 commands for the next 2 minutes.
While everyone else at Worlds are trying to earn their legacy, Faker knows his has already been cemented in history, and T1 will assault the base. Here comes the push. Baron empowered, Elder empowered. T1 are on the warpath.
T1 just going straight to the enemy base. Tier 3 turret doesn't stand a chance. Inhibitor knocked down right after. Tarzan and Hope meaning to join up with the rest of the team. The Tier 2 over in mid still standing for now. There's still half the duration left on the Elder Dragon.
That's all that anyone's Legend are trying to do. They will lose the top inhibitor, but they managed to take out the wave in mid. Flandre pushed in that bottom wave, and with just a little bit of time left on this Elder Dragon, how much more can T1 get?
Do you believe in the Game 5 jinx? The hope for LPL right now. The hope for AL.
Well, it's gonna need a lot more than just some hopes, some dreams, some prayers. They're gonna need this Elder timer to expire if they want to have a chance against T1, who now have nearly a 3,000 gold lead on top of all those buffs. Elder getting down very low, about 30, 20 seconds or so left here on this buff. The next wave about to arrive, and you know T1 are going to force their way in for a second lane of super minions. Doran guiding the top lane minions up now as well as the second inhibitor falls, and T1 are looking for the end of the game. The Elder's got 15 seconds left on it. T1 guiding the Baroned up minions toward the Nexus turrets. Solar Snare not hitting a target. Flandre and the rest of AL scrambling to try to defend. Nexus turret's down to about half HP. Oner takes some burst. Tarzan takes more. T1 looking for the engage. They found Flandre, but he gets away. Half HP on the front line of AL. T1 pushing forward. They've made their way on the Nexus. AL scrambles to defend. Doran can't do it. History is written by the victors. And yet again, T1 turns the page of the LPL. They will once again earn their place in the semifinals.